What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are doing the 88th installment of Retro Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing my NG models 1 to 400 scale Eastern Airlines Lockheed L-1011 Tristar 1 with the bare metal hockey stick livery. Technically this isn't a full NG release, this is actually a Buchanan release, so I actually have my first Buchanan model, but it is using an NG mold. So for simplicity's sake, this is being labeled as an NG release. I remember the big deal that everybody made when this model came out in January of this year, and the fact that this model had been long requested. I think the first time that I remember somebody requesting it was in 2020, so 5 years ago. And it took NG that long to actually get to making this, and it took them to make a whole wish list system for it to actually get made. You know, somebody had to request it there, it got enough votes, and boom, we got a release. So it's got some extra goodies in here, and a lot of fun stuff to go with it. And as, of course, shown by the pin, this is one of the many Airliners International snags from the ATL show this past summer, which, it's crazy to think, we're already in September and we are moving much closer to a new event, which I'm actually going to be attending next year, which will be Aviation Expo in Seattle, July 8th through the 11th of 2026. Very excited to check out this event. It'll be my first time going to it, and I think, yeah, it is their first ever Aviation Expo, so I'll be very curious to see what they've got going on over there, and I do encourage everyone to check out that event as well, because it looks like it's going to have a lot more stuff than what Airliners has had the last few years, so definitely interested to see what they're all going to have at the Expo, and we'll be going there. So, that being said, let's begin with the retro review, and we'll start with these little items. So here is this is a card that just shows that collectors essentially got this model released, and that's what it says. This is to certify the release of this model was promoted by collectors, and there's a QR code where you can learn more information. And then on this side has the CGI of the model along with a real-life image of it. Very nice, which is replicated well on the box. Also included was a little warning card about the antennas that could potentially poke you and hurt you. And then the box itself. And as noted by the little sticky tag there on the top right, this is one of several models that I got from the Squatchies table in Atlanta. Just trying to make sure I can get these little cards to go back in there. Of course, I get the one card and not the other. That's more like it. And we'll close up the box nicely to ensure that everything is all set. So there's the box. Eastern logo, Tristar logo, and then another one right there. There's that price tag, 55 bucks, so retail price roughly. There's the image of the plane, another one down there. Registration November 305 Echo Alpha, and then 1 to 400 scale collectible models, die-cast metal. On the bottom, you see the aircraft type, image of the plane, registration, a little barcode, which I believe, yeah, this does match what NG typically uses for Tristars, or actually no, they start with 3-1. So 1-0 there is definitely different, does indicate a slightly different release. And as mentioned, this is a Buchanan release, though no mention of their branding or even NG's branding is on here. There's the aircraft logo, airline logo, 1 to 400 scale, collectible models, die-cast metal, top side, and then the left side. Very nice details there. And then the back of the box, there's actually a Buchanan logo right there, which I completely missed when I was unboxing this and when I even bought it, because I kind of forgot that Buchanan actually released this under this line, but was of course using NG's mold. So my first Buchanan model, but as I mentioned, I'm labeling this as an NG for sort of simplicity reasons. So now let's bring this very lovely model into view. And as I mentioned, this has been a long requested model. Aero Classics released it in the time that it took from around the first time that this appeared on NG's radar to now, essentially. And I know the Aero Classics Tristar, it's got some issues, but I know some collectors were satisfied with it since NG wasn't willing to take action on it, but now they have, and this has been one of their few bright spots in 2025, and certainly there's been some other bright spots too, like the PSA Tristar, which I have, very happy about that, and just some of the other general releases. There's been too many bright spots this year, which is a bit unfortunate considering NG circumstances, at least as I record this video, but we'll see what it's like around the time this video gets published. So we will see what that looks like, and if this ages poorly, then I do apologize, but I'm recording this in July, not in September. Starting off at the front, there we have the nose cone. There's a little fleet code right there, along with the anti-glare shield. Cockpit windows, which NG does really good on. L1 door, and then the cheat line with the light blue and then the dark blue. And you see the Eastern titles up there, along with the hockey stick esque logo, but that's more the Falcon. And the white outline, which is present across the titles, and also the cheat line, which is like what American did if you saw last week's retro review. So back-to-back weeks with a polished aircraft. One antenna on the bottom there, actually two of them, and then one on top just above the Falcon logo. So there's those two antennas right there. There's the RB211 22Bs, one of the different engine types that the L-1011 had. L2 door, and then move over the wings with not much there, and no overwing exit markings present. And then there's also a golden hub there on that landing gear. Not sure what happened. I think the hub cover must have fallen off or something while it was being shipped back to my house. L3 and a very skinny rear door right there, but you do see some markings. There's like some red markings which are on the just ahead of the doors there. I don't know if you can see that. Very hard to tell what that all says, but whatever it is, it does look fascinating. And then the Eastern tail with the American flag on the tail engine, and then part of the tail there painted instead of polished. Zoom back out with a view of the right side. This thing is just pretty. Again, one of the bright spots that NG has had this year, so they do get credit here for making this, because this is such a very popular plane that people have wanted NG to make for years, since all the other options were of pretty they're not of the same standard as they are today, because some of them were made many years ago. So there's one luggage door back there, and then a second one back behind there. Actually, yeah, a third one even alongside that wing seam, which is present. There we go. And then again, I'm gonna get fingerprints all over this, so I don't know the best way to grab it. I can't do this. My hand does not stretch that far enough, but anyway. So flip it underneath. There's the bottom of the aircraft with all the printed details along with the stand hole. And then the top of the aircraft, you can see not much to report on up there, but there is a beacon somewhere up there. Very fascinating model from NG, and hopefully they can get back into the swing of things with good releases. I know that there's been the whole tariff deal with the lack of US releases being made, but you know, there's a lot of different perspectives with that, and it just, you know, it is what it is at this point. We just have to see what NG is going to do as we move forward, and if by the time this video comes out there hasn't been much of a change with NG's release strategy, certainly be time to discuss that probably by year's end. I still have plans to make a video on this topic at some point. It's just I want to wait for more data to come out up till the end of 2025, so I can get a very good idea as to how NG will be moving forward with their releases, if they're going to go more Asia heavy or if they're going to try and get more of a variety, because I've been told by another collector that NG told them that they were going to introduce more variety to their releases soon. So hopefully that is the case. But for now, we'll take a look at the real-life aircraft's history, a very storied one. She first flew on November 10th, 1972, and she was a demonstrator aircraft in Europe for Lockheed. She flew around for several different airlines, including with Courtline and also BEA, British European Airlines. So she had their colors on there alongside a Eastern cheat line. So a bit of a weird hybrid, but she did wear Lockheed Tristar demonstrator colors, and also had the different stickers of the airlines that had orders placed for this aircraft. She was then delivered to Eastern once that was done, and from there she wore the white top hockey stick with the Whisper liner titles, and then of course the polished one, which is represented on the model. Eastern shut down in 1991, so she was in storage for a little while, but then Delta picked her up and was one of the next Tristars that they had in their fleet. November 72 Delta Lima, she was re-registered to in December of 91. Delta retired the type in 2001, and I believe, yeah, she was one of the last Tristars to fly for Delta up to the retirement of the type, and then she was scrapped just a year later. And that'll do it for this episode of Retro Reviews. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.